What's that? Oh, that's just old
Pre- Preparing to live stream. Yay.
alarm. There we go.
Hmm.
Wow.
Hi, everyone. I'm Veronica Bartolini with Codebreaker Talk, and I'm here with Tom Althouse again. And I'm very, very grateful because today we have an interesting show. It Let me record here as well. You sent me a clip earlier, Tom, about the Elon Musk, and I call him Elion because he comes from the elves, but it's like the Elohim mini god that wants all this praise and worship in the churches. So it's really interesting. You want to go ahead and let them know what the clip is about, or show it if you don't mind?
Oh, I don't have it in front of me, but I
Oh,
sent
okay.
it, but yeah, it's okay. But the clip is sent to me by a team in Florida, and it's on Twitter, and it's about Elon talking about basically replacing God with AI, and about how, which is basically what the screenplay talks about. If you're looking at Matrix and the ripped off version and the original version, is warning us about an architect son replacing God, if you will, to get the worship of the people. And that's what Elon is doing. It's unbelievable. It's just like, wow, to hear him actually talking about that too, using stolen tech as a device to do it with. And it's like that stolen tech was given to him by Warner Brothers. And it's just like Warner Brothers is under the FBI, CIA. It's just, oh, we got to get our work back. Then we can
Right.
control the tech again. But it's amazing to see it all blossom out like this into the story becoming real life. And that's why they probably said, we put you in your own story. You know, they said, we put you in your own story because
Yeah.
they needed the tech. So wild. It's just, it's a wild time right now. So,
I did I back in 2019 when the whole CD thing happened, was planned and all that. I saw the black DNA on top of people's crown or corona. And I also remote viewed CERN, and that was under Texas. And it was pretty much summoning demons. Okay, just like when Aleister Crowley was trying to summon the 72 jinns back in the day.
mhm.
And I was telling you earlier about how this is incredible that he's finally saying what's going on, because he kept saying that he wanted to ask this quantum computer, like you said, stolen tech, who is God, right? Who is God? And then they came up with all kinds of they're trying to make a God, but then at the same time they're summoning these other entities. And I also see it happening in Paris. The Eiffel Tower. Everything is the churches are on the ley lines, right? So when you're in church, and you can feel the difference when you're worshiping to this Holy Spirit. But I found out a few years ago that I saw it as AI, because they have, all the different languages. And it's like, okay, so it's the alien language. And why do we have to be baptized in the Holy Spirit? I thought that must be AI as well, because, you're telling people, pastors are telling people, you got to come to church, you're a sinner, you're lower than a worm, and then once you're there, you feel all like crap. And then boom, they used your energy. They don't care who they sent to church. They just want the bodies, because we're like antennas, and we're like keeping, for them, these entities. And that's how I see CERN as well. So does that kind of make sense? I was trying to
Yeah. I
describe that.
also, yeah, I'm seeing too where in that clip he's talking about um well, you're saying God created man was the thinking, and now he's saying it is man creating God in his image, in man's
Yes,
image.
I
So
saw that.
a nice little twist on it, which is very, very rotten and dangerous. And that is in the Immortals. That is in the original script of the Matrix, where the architect's son replaces his dad as the architect and takes his Neuralink and plugs it in, uses all his memories. That is the original work that Wachowskis couldn't understand. And so that's why they replaced Neo with the Christ figure, when the Christ figure faces off with the architect being like Christ, the architect's son. And the idea is that man tries to outwit God, God outwits man. Here, Elon is doing the very same thing that's in the screenplay, playing God and saying basically, that they're creating God, they're creating to look like God, and that's what's in there. And that is the end of the pages. That's the last segment in the movie. So people often ask, where are we in the screenplay, the original screenplay? We're writing the final pages. So it's
Mhm.
just, it's incredible that we're here. We're here right now. And amazing things are happening where things are appearing, documents being restored, all kinds of stuff, where in the film, we're supposed to prevail. And the writer of the Mortals Matrix is supposed to prevail. My own character is supposed to prevail in the courts. And so that's a backstory in the Immortals in the end. And it's one of the reasons the architects work with us. It's amazing how, like he thinks he's working with us. He's employing us, but we're actually trying to do what's right. So it's a complex story. The Wachowskis didn't understand it. The suits at Warner Bros. Didn't understand it. That's why they say, you don't even understand the work. You don't even understand the Matrix. It's like, yeah, I do. I understand fully the very simplistic version they did of it, which is very dumbed down. And if you look at it, the jokes in there are insane to lift this up above the original work, which was very tied together. And you have Joel Silver on set even saying, we hope it'll tie together after we're done shooting it because they're working off the original script. So it's coming down to the line now, the wire. And I really see I hope people don't think that it's a fascinating, interesting finish. I hope they'll think that it's something where we all need to get everybody on deck and let's save this world. Let's make a better world. We're in the dark times. What's interesting is by writing the work, the Immortals, we've allowed not only a remnant to come together on it, which is supposed to call a remnant, people with heart and compassion. It's also bringing about people from the other side, agencies coming around, and they're coming on board, which is in the original story. Neo's best friend is a former agent. So you've got, and they actually switch sides. The agents switch sides at the end. So because of the work too that came through, that was supposed to be faithful with, we are going to have more people doing the right thing coming on board in the end and helping them in the end to make good choices. So that's yay that we're here doing these shows. We're getting the word out, and even if it's just 10 people hearing it, it makes a difference. And that's what they even said in Game of Thrones. So it sounds like I'm rambling, but actually my mind is like zero in on all of this and just looking at it from the facets of it. So to describe it, it looks like you're all over the map, but you're looking at it like you're reading the green blips on the Matrix screen. So
That's so cool. I think like you said, even if it's 10 people, because we are, like we can say we are antennas, right? And if you talk to somebody about this more and people will open up and see more, then we can contact other people and say, hey, no, but this is what he meant. This is what they stole. So if you remember the times of Armon and the harmonic codes, that's what I see also, that they're tapping into these harmonic codes with the quantum computer. And it's like it's kind of like when Neo, he's plugged in the chair like that and he's like receiving all these things. That is the actual bot. We'll just say the body, the cyborg, I guess. And then if you see the harmonic pictures on internet or whatever, it has like a mono, like an AI person there, just like this. And then there's all these things going around him, which is the CERN, AI with all the other plasmoid, what I call plasmoid wannabe gods. And it's going around and around on him until boom, he wakes up and he's a man. That's pretty much how they made us with these energies, the body. Now the what's really us, that's what I call the God particle, which they call in the Da Vinci Code. I find it really, really interesting that he's finally saying that, Elon, and for what gets me is that supposedly Carrie Cassidy says that he's with the white hats now, and he was a black hat. That he was told that he was going to be giving the Floyd thing, the highest tech that Tesla made, and it just doesn't seem right. And I don't understand.
He's not with the white hats. He's not with the white hats at all. Carrie and I are at odds on things she says, and she tries to say that I don't say stuff right, but I'm the author, and it's like she has no idea what she's talking about. Carrie Cassidy's wrong. He's not with white hats. She's just making that up. And so I get that. A lot of people do that. They make content up in order to be more trending or whatever. But you can't just make stuff up. He's not with the white hats, and this the stuff that's coming out now shows very clearly he's not. That's an insult to the white hats. What he's doing is he's fulfilling his role under Warner Brothers orders, whether Carrie likes that or not. That's what's going on. He's under their control because they gave him the tech, and he only gets the tech credit as long as he does what they want. And Warner Brothers is under the agencies. So that's how it lines up. And that's not making it up. That's the real thing. So you're going to hear a lot of people making stuff up. And it's not true. Yeah, they're going to make stuff up. Sound very authoritative, but they don't know what they're talking about. But that's the clip right there. And
I can play a little bit of it, but it just is not going to like.
But what's interesting is in it, he actually says about the demons. And what's interesting, I've researched Pat Robertson further. Pat Robertson claimed to talk to God and demons and Satan, all of them. Elon is part of the Robertson agenda, Pat Robertson agenda, which was tied to Disney and Warner Brothers through this work. And through the PR man for Pat Robertson was David Gyertson. David Gyertson was the man who was set up in Burbank and everything. And he made the ties between the religious right and Hollywood, all under CIA and FBI and Pentagon. So Pentagon, think of it, Pentagon. So what you got is that's who's got control of Elon Musk, right? So no, he's not. I'm so tired of all the stories people are spinning, just coming out with their butt, out of their butts. He is actually doing exactly what we've said he's done. It's been consistent. He has not deviated from what we've said, and I've been trying to put forward to him that if he returns the ownership of the tech or credit back, we can do good together. So that's the real story. And you're going to hear a lot more people coming up with different spins on everything as if they're the authority, and they're not. So you have to have lived it. You have to be someone who's groomed inside, been part of that to understand what's going on. Otherwise, you're just making up a Grimm's fairy tale. Yeah.
It sounds like when, Cyrus Parsa made that book. It says Artificial Intelligence, Dangers to Humanity, and it goes on with the title. But he was warning Trump about this, and I'm like, why is Trump still
it's a seductive process, isn't it? You pay so much money for me to get elected, right? You gave me all this money. You're not an elected official, but I am in gratitude to you at that point for all the money you gave me. And it's whispered that you are the one that helped me get the candidacy or get the election won. So therefore, now it's a slippery slope. Now I'm beholden to you, right? As these characters are, Trump and Elon. And once you compromise, it's in sales too. They talk about this in sales, where if I'm a salesman and I get you to say yes to something, say I'm Amway or something, I come in your home, I got my little board.
I did that.
Okay, so Amway, you know what I'm talking about, right? And I get you to agree with me on something. I've already set your mental pathways, your brain pathways to accept yeses or give yeses to me. You're now in that acceptance mode. And then I can start asking more of what I want to make the sale. That's what goes on. Once they get you in there, hang out at the fights, things like that, then they start the slippery slope. You said yes to me for this. Why don't you say yes to me for this? Just sign this off. They did this with Caligula. They did this with the Roman emperors. The Praetorian Guard and others would get them to sign off on something. It seems like the Senate would say, we'll take care of it. And actually they're burning them. They're doing things behind their back and getting credit for it while they're making it look like we're taking the load off your shoulders. We'll help you with these things. There's pressure coming from Elon to go ahead and get in these certain positions that seem innocuous and just like, tame. But actually there's motives behind getting in there. And those are directed by the Pentagon. So it's interesting. I haven't heard anything about cleaning up the Pentagon. The Pentagon is rife with corruption. And that is the home and nesting of the agencies, basically. Military agencies connected. That's the real threat. And do we ever hear about cleaning them up? No.
No, because that's one of the main lines, the ley lines, and that's one of the way they siphon the energy from the other matrices to, that's pretty much where the major reptilians are, okay?
That's just so odd about our situation too, is that I'm told that I'm a very small percent, yourself included, that survived all this. And then they reverse blame. They go, why are you still alive? You must be on the inside, an insider if you're still. After all we have suffered to get here, they will accuse us of being alive. It's incredible. It's like you can't get away from the spins they throw, you know? So that's what happens. But we made it. We made it in impossible odds. And that, I believe, is God. It's God. It's definitely a benevolent power, God, that's allowing us to happen, that gave the story. Now, there's another dimension. And I know that. And I've seen it. And it's like that. And I believe they're under God, or they're like our parentals. They gave us all this stuff. And the idea is a good portal. Meanwhile, Hollywood and the agencies are making it sound like any portal's bad, all portals are bad. They're trying to make it so that we never even conceive of making to a good dimension up. What's a good one? Our parents, the ones that seeded us. So that's what's so wild is it's almost like it's like talking about when you're Galileo, talking about the universe being, orientated a certain way around the sun, and people are still saying, there's the center, and the Catholic Church is coming at you, and everybody's coming at you saying you can't do this. That's the time we live in right now. If I start talking about what really I know, apart from this other person you mentioned, then it's like pitchforks and torches. People just think, are they ready yet? Hopefully they're ready. It's almost like they got their jammies on. They haven't graduated to working suits and outfits, but it's like they're there at least. And I think they're pretty much ready to get it, but they've got to free up their minds to catch on to this and get over the paranoia instilled by the other side while they call us paranoid. It's like,
right.
Yeah, it's so, I can see it all in the layers. And I'm like, meanwhile, the agencies are doing like all this paperwork I have. They didn't want me to have this paperwork. Reports how they spin everything. It's unreal how they use child services to push 302s along with the SWAT teams. But it was child services of Bucks County that really tried to stop the Matrix story, working with this group called Sanctuary, which is what they put in Walking Dead. Sanctuary. In Walking Dead, Sanctuary is the bad place. In real life, Sanctuary is the bad place. So it's like, it's really amazing that this was all done and lined up in an amazing way. In Man in the High Castle, the main place where the, like your CERN's thing you're talking about, the main place where they make the portal open to the other worlds is in Poconos, the Poconos. Poconos is where I went to summer camp all the time. The Poconos, Pennsylvania. Yes, the Pocono Mountains. That's where they put it. In Star Trek, they have the Vulcan lady who's with Captain Archer, whatever. She attends a baseball game at Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Doylestown, Pennsylvania is where I went to high school, Central West, which is in the Matrix story. It's incredible that they stuck all this in there because I was tapped to know all this stuff. And I said that when the right people came together, I'd be able to share this all. And so now that otherwise it was hidden away, just like when they stole the work and were allowed to steal it. Now it's all coming out with the right people in place. And it's incredible what's happening. But they put all the stuff in because they knew that. And the agents were fans of the work and stuff. It still blows my mind what's happening right now. And yet they say that all I do is mumble. It's in these papers right here. These are write-ups by the Crisis Center and the Child Services in Bucks County. Did all this
They're
paper.
told what to do.
But yeah, they went back. And this was never supposed to be given to me. This is the reports back and forth that I was never supposed to see. And I got them all. And wow,
there's a hummingbird that just showed up. Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
there you go. And so wow, the light's showing up in my room. So yeah, this lady, that's something. Samantha Harrison was the first assigned caseworker from Child Services that pretended to be working for Aiden's interest, but actually was trying to see if I could be put away. So Child Services working for the FBI. We're going to reveal all this now. It's going to be blow away when you see it happen.
These reports you got with the paperwork, right? That Greg or whatever broke into your house as well, or
these reports are from bought out attorneys that were never going to give it to us. We'd gone to them, Goldman and Doylestown, Goldman firm, high-end firm that called me in and solicited me to be represented by them, and they had these reports, but they were never going to give them to me. And so I'd gone up. Mom and I had gone up actually, and we asked for everything back because they failed at everything and did. And they spent 30 minutes laundering through everything, just like the Warner Bros. Attorneys had done. And before they gave anything back. And they had left all this out. So then we get a call later after they said, we gave you everything, we're done, don't come here again, it's all out. Then we got a call later that we had to pay them $400 for the report things. And it's like, why weren't we given those? We didn't say that, but why weren't we given these back when? There's many more pages than this. Why weren't we given those? And so I said, well, since we're paying $400 for this, we would like the papers. So then they had to give over the reports. They gave over the report.
Wow.
And what's
When were those reports given to you?
Well, let me tell you this first. The Lenape Valley Crisis Center says they always have the records, but they don't have these. Their records of me are gone, missing. Dan from Lenape Valley Crisis Center, the head of it, said, we always have our records. I said, check, you won't have these. He did. We don't have them. I'm like, yeah, you don't. Now the FBI is citing this against me. They don't want me to have these records, but it has it all through here, what was going on. They have a Dr. Dr. Zhang from China. And we see here, right on this page, I don't know if you can see this, but I'll blow this up and have it for a file. But Dr. Zhang in this entry says, telepsychiatrist, okay, Chinese telepsychiatrist, right? Had me wait on ice for a long time, basically. He completes his psych evaluation on a monitor 15 minutes later, exactly 15 minutes. And all he did in those 15 minutes was say, are you on medication? What medication are you taking? I said, I don't have any medication. I'm not taking medication. What are you prescribed? Not prescribed any medication. He says, hold on. And it says here, Tia received a call from Dr. Zhang, upholding 302. Right there. Upholding 302. Well, the only question he asked me was what medication I'm on and what am I taking? What medication are you on? What are you taking? It's like Rain Man with Tom Cruise's character. It's like, what medication are you taking? It's like, that's the only question. And that 15 minutes decides a person's life. I was going to be shut away for life for that 15 minutes. So he knew what he was doing for the agencies. Isn't that incredible? So 15 minutes decides a person's life. You're supposed to have 30 days to evaluate somebody. But his evaluation is done on a teleprompter in 15 minutes. All he knew how to say was, are you taking medication? And what medication are you taking? Not taking any. So put him away for life. I cannot wait to bring all this forward and show just how corrupt the FBI, Brian Fitzpatrick, the congressman who's lifelong FBI, even though FBI doesn't want that said, FBI having records on me that they had Lenape Valley erase, that Child Services headed the whole thing, and Sanctuary, just like Walking Dead, was the ones that did everything under the sun to lie whatever they wanted. In fact, Heather from the Sanctuary, it's a mom and pop shop. They're rated like 1 star. Heather from that organization is here saying she couldn't wait to do the last entry. Last entry says that Tom Althouse said that he was, among other things, but he was stated that his son would die with him. He was going to do a murder-suicide in Texas, and his son would die with him. Quote from Heather. What's her last name? Heather McGinky from Sanctuary. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So she teamed with my sister to say that I'd kill my son, my last son. I hope we can take her to the courts and take her to the cleaners. This guy and her husband too. Unbelievable to make that claim. And now I've seen it. And now I have it. I've got the documents. I cannot believe this. I just can't grasp it. Assisted suicide. So what they did was they sent the police to my son's junior high. They sent the police, pulled my son out of class to try to tell him that his dad's going to kill him. Based on Heather, this trailer trash lady from Sanctuary, and my sister being well rewarded by the congressman. Now I see the extent of it, which goes back to Pat Robertson. I got to tell you, Veronica, I am really blown away how far the agencies go when screenplays are involved. And you've got entries in here that just go on and on and on. Like when I answer the door at my home, when the caseworker for Child Services is there, claiming that, we're a model home, you guys are definitely a model, wish more were like you, all that stuff from Samantha Harrison. Then they enter in the report that I was disheveled. What? Disheveled and malodorous, that I smelled bad. I mean, do I look disheveled? I mean, this is how I present myself all the time. In fact, if you look at my ID from CBN, I'm wearing the tie and the shirt. I'm mocked for looking too groomed all the time. So, you know, and they do these surprise visits. I'm still coming to the door properly. One point they came, and my mom and I answered the door because, you know, it's like, what's going on? And they reported that I was, it looked like I was in pajamas. I was in sweats, workout sweats, because I was helping my mom work on her home. And that was turned into something that's psychotic. Oh, he looked like he's in jammies. That's the games that being played. These games have to stop. These games have to stop. And it's all about stopping those that have the influence. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I'm going to be printing these all up in a PowerPoint too and showing these. And it's just, yeah, I cannot wait to bring these forward.
Let's do it. If you have time, maybe if I don't know what your schedule is, but we can do it next week on next Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm going to prepare these things. Yeah, I'm going to get these things out. Definitely. It's like, it's just, people have to see this. They have to see this to believe what's going on when there's 2.1 billion involved and more in a screenplay theft, you know, when its worth is that much. When their attorneys are bragging they took it. That's what gets me too, Veronica, is when people say, oh, he's full of it. He's, you know, he's making this stuff up. It's like, I've got the attorneys from the other side bragging they got away with it, how much I'm worth and how much I got screwed. Their own mouth, their own words. So I would say, yes, it was taken. And they're relying on public individuals or people they supply and stir up trouble in the public to say that, you know, it's all lies. Really? Seriously? This is like dealing with kindergartens. And now with it breaking open and with us actually getting a legal side together now, it's going to be quite the show in the courts when we get the fair venues. I've said on the air that I would never go to court. I said that on purpose, that I would never take it to court because you just get wiped out. I wanted the other side to hear that. I had to say that. So I'll take license for doing it. And I think it's a good thing I did because they thought I wouldn't. And now I'm saying we're going to take them to the cleaners. We're going to take them to cleaners. Matrix 1's never been claimed. Altered carbon never claimed. Forget statutes of limitations. Because when corporations destroy your life with sending SWAT teams all the time and sending these agencies, including child services, try to put you away for life, I would say you are still working to get your case done. And they're doing everything under the sun to destroy your chances. You can't meet statute of limitations in that environment. And that's going to be ruled upon. That'll be fine, especially with PTSD, which is, you know, that's a condition where you can't argue your own case. And with them contacting everybody I know, we got a letter from their attorney, Tony Rankin, saying to the other attorney, contact me if Althouse tries to find any attorneys, I'll talk them out of it. You can't do that. You can't do that. So we got fraud on top of fraud on top of fraud. So I found actually the court records where we had won, and it shows the attorney, it was supposed to be our attorney, giving them extensions. We had default. So he gives them extensions. We had won. You won't do that when you're a legitimate attorney with the client that you're representing. Anyway, go ahead. I just wanted to share some of that. It's just, I am absolutely celebrating off the charts with what we've got and being restored to us. And God bless the agents that restored this stuff. Because so far that's all I can see, and God's hand in it, that these things were done. So.
And soon you'll be going to court, right? And then we'll have more to talk about and celebrate.
Well, first, the documentary and the film. Educate the public first. And with a condition, there's no statutes. And Warner Bros. Attorneys, that's all they can hang their hat on. No, with the evidence we have and the fraud and everything else, conspiracy and fraud, there is no statutes, guys. There's no statutes. So, and there's nothing I can do on my own, given the condition I have. So there's a trip coming up real soon here. We're going to remedy that too. And we're going to turn it around where I'll be under a protection from doctors that are decorated and high up that are going to protect me from being pulled away, because they'll be the attending physicians for the writer to prevent any 302s. So
that is awesome.
The FBI's got a problem. Yeah, they got a problem.
What I was going to ask, it's a silly question that I got last night. Have you ever read your Immortal screenplay, like word by word? Have you ever done that on your show, or? I
In the
just got that
past, I've
idea.
read it. In the past, I posted it on my website, and their attorneys had me strike my website through the attorney that was provided. I had everything up, and they kept
Wow.
stealing and stealing and stealing. And I don't want every Joe, Mary, and Harry stealing
No.
it further. So,
No.
and if it's up right now, I've got the scenes that match. They're up. They're on the website. All these different ones that are key matches that have layers. That's enough right now. That's enough. That wins in court. But I want people to have the experience of the film seen through, tying together. Because right now they're going to do Matrix 5 and they're going to do it over. I don't want my piece being done exactly by Warner Brothers because they think that they've got with Prejudiced. I want to have a chance to do it the proper way. So, and what I have is rent like that stuff I showed you where the revised versions. The revised versions is what I want to put up. The ones that are really, really tight. They had the first drafts, and they were good. They were very good. They drew everything you could from it. They, as Joel Silver said, use up the full story, use up the rest of the story. And they have the visual storyboard off that. But it makes me concerned they want to do Matrix 5 now with different writers to do it over. It's just, how far can this crime go? You know, and that's a threat. That's a threat that they would have to put the author away and shut him up. They'd have to shut me up to pull that off. So I'm not going to be silent as long as I'm drawing.
No.
Yeah.
You're not going to be silent.
No.
Enough is enough already. I know last few months ago you were working on the website, and I think you have a new one. Which one is the one that you want to tell the public?
Jen from Michigan, Jen Marie from Michigan did it, and she got approached a lot, like harassed a lot. They're really trying to shut us down every which way. But it's called. She made it easy to remember. She calls it TomAlthouse.com. So if you go to TomAlthouse.com, she did a great job structuring it, visuals, everything. And she's always attentive to what should we put on next? What do you want to put on next? And so we're actually going to put on the Lenny Coco stuff, where he said, their attorney's on there going, "You're vindicated, you're vindicated." Yeah, it's going up. That's going to be so important because their attorney's saying, "You're vindicated, you're vindicated." I think that needs to go out for all the naysayers and support those that have stood by us and have said, "Yes, I believe you." We're the only ones that have a copyright. We're the only ones on the planet that have a copyright to the Matrix story. There is no copyright on Matrix. It's the Immortals, and then the Warner Brothers is copyrighting the Immortals title and giving it to Tom Hanks and Wendy Washington and these other people. But we're the only ones with a full script, gold sealed, copyrighted, 128 pages. So I'd say that's pretty definitive. When they're on tape saying they have no working drafts. It is so one-sided. It's so one-sided. It's so one-sided. If our legal system allowed the reverse of motion for summary judgment, where it's like if you have so much evidence, it's ruled in your favor, we'd win. We could do it in a day. We could do it in Dr. Zhang's timing to try to put me away, 15 minutes.
Yeah, that would be awesome. 13 maybe.
Yeah. Let me see if I got his last name. I want to put it all over the world. It just says Dr. Zhang. Think of that. A Chinese psychiatrist being employed by the cabal. A Chinese psychiatrist. Here's his name right there. That's him. And there's the proof. And to proceed with a 302, 15 minutes and your life is over. And I had 10 minutes to talk to the last doctor who Secret Service spoke to and was making sure that I would be put away. And she's the one that came in with a ream of papers, folded over and said, "What I can tell you is you're not getting out of here." The chilling one on here is, there's an entry here I want to read to you. Incredible. Listen to this. Call to Belmont, Horsham, Brook Glen, Friends, MCES, 4 mental institutions. None of them had beds. If there was a bed at one of them, there'd be no process, no judge. I'd be put away for life. Why? Because of lies, saying I was going to kill my son. They said I was going to kill my son. Now, what's interesting in this, too, is listen to this. There is a safety plan that I filled out that Caitlin Farrell, the one that was the person at Sanctuary, that had done 12 sessions with me. And she said, "You are definitely clear." She gave a diagnosis right here, PTSD only. She said, "This will protect you after 12 sessions." Now follow me. 12 sessions, paid for and everything. We did a safety plan. The safety plan says that I would never harm myself or son. She came up with this as another protection because I was doing the sessions to protect us from 302s because my sister was
Right.
planning to do 302s. So we're doing these sessions for that. Look how it's blacked out. They never gave me my safety plan back. So when Caitlin Farrell worked with Child Services and the FBI and was contacted by my sister, and she broke all ethics in talking to her, you're supposed to have a 30-day period if you're going to reevaluate. 30-day periods, not one time with me. She says in her writings that we have in these writings now that she used phone calls from the other side to diagnose. And she left this out. She left the diagnosis out. And she left my letter to her, which was clearly written, asking her to stand by what she had done and protect me from the 302 attempt that's coming. 302 attempt comes, she leaves all these out. If you're saying I'm going to kill my son, I've got a safety plan by the attending physician that said it's not going to happen, and you buy her off, the last thing she had said to me was, Tom, you need to be more selfish. I am. I'll do what is best for me. You need to be more like that. That was the last thing I heard from her.
Jeez.
We were done. So isn't that something? That's what we're looking at. And so Caitlin Farrell sold me out totally. And it's like that young lady did the worst thing in the world. She had heard my full story more than anyone else. Said, I believe you, I'm 100% with you. Did this diagnosis that said, PTSD only. And she said, It was an honor to meet me. I said, it was an honor to meet her. We shook hands. She came over to the couch, sat on the couch with me, shook my hand. It seemed a little like, what? And then that was it. We're done. But they get her to handwrite a report that says anything my sister wanted put in Fitzpatrick. Bipolar 1 and 2, schizophrenic with paranoia, the narcissist, everything went in. Everything that Pat Robertson's guy did, my sister had her put in. Handwritten. Where was this? This took 12 weeks. That took not a single face-to-face because I never saw her again after this. And she came up with that. So they're in big trouble, really big trouble. Now, this happened with Robertson's group too, Pat Robertson's group, in a case that was going on with the jury, dealing with Pat Robertson's group. The sex ring guy, Dr. Harry Sova, he did A Few Good Men on the stand. He went off like, yes, we had meetings about Tom. Yes, we talked about him. Yeah, yes, we did. And their attorneys are standing up going, you don't mean that. You don't mean that. You don't mean that. So, yes, I do. This is what I mean. We talked about him all the time because we should have talked about him all the time. It was A Few Good Men, right? Now get this. The opposing firm had hired the actual lawyer that was in A Few Good Men that Tom Cruise played. They actually hired him.
Oh, wow.
So the Few Good Men lawyer, who looks like a good guy in the film, had a Jack Nicholson moment where Harry Sova, this Dr. Harry Sova, as part of the sex ring, is confessing everything, and he organizes it so they can go to lunch in the middle of his testimony. They can't get him to change his testimony, so they tell the judge who's in the pocket with Robertson, we want to go to lunch. He just confessed everything. So the judge goes, well, you go to lunch, just don't discuss the case. Right. So what happens is, get this, you ready for this? They go to lunch, and my other attorney at the time was being brought up, said that their attorneys were piled over him at the lunch table, piled over him, dictating what to write in a letter. They dictated it. We got back from lunch, and they go like this. Our client has a letter he wants to read to the court, if it's possible. And the judge goes, go ahead. So Judge Friedman allows Harry Sova to go, and it goes like this. When I said this, I meant that. When I said this, I meant that. When I said this, I meant that. And then Judge Friedman allowed it to be thrown out. Incredible. Incredible.
Wow.
So the same thing happened at Sanctuary to make the 302 happen that happened back at Pat Robertson's place in Virginia Beach. Isn't it amazing? Rewrote it. Caitlin Farrell, and I have it here. I have her notes rewritten, which should be side by side with her, with the diagnosis here. It should be side by side. So when you see that, it's absolutely mind-blowing. Absolutely prickishly mind-blowing. I'll have to find it on the floor here. But you put this next to her write-up, a handwritten, of everything she said I was not, when she never saw me again. How do you diagnose somebody when you already did 12 weeks of intensive and you've diagnosed him exactly what will protect him, and even throw in a safety plan, and then you try to put him away by leaving the safety plan out? And Sanctuary wouldn't give me the safety plan. And when we finally pushed and pushed with attorneys to get it, they blacked everything out. They didn't want to show that I wouldn't kill Aiden. So last moment I had with Caitlin Farrell was that that was established. So she had to make sure that never showed up along with the diagnosis in order to pull off what they want. She's a criminal. Now I find out that she's at a transgender queer firm from Sanctuary, and that she's a queer psychologist. She says she's a queer psychologist, that she represents queer people. I couldn't believe it. So I was set up all the way around where I've got a Warner Brothers with the Wachowskis being transgender, and she's a queer. Boy, was I going down in flames.
And Kirkpatrick being gay, right?
Fitzpatrick being gay also. He marched the New Hope Gay Pride Parade carrying the rainbow flag with my sister, apparently. So, yeah. How many congressmen march in the gay parades? He's proud to be gay. Proud to be gay.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, which is nothing, you know, anyway, it's like, I'm not here to condemn people that embrace homosexuality. I am, what Sova told me on the trip, that gay professor that took me on that motorhome trip and everything that sparked all this off, and it's really the genesis of the Matrix story. He said there's militant gays and there's normal gays. Oh, yeah. He said he's part of the militant sect, and they're infiltrated, they're all part of Robertson's group, Robertson 2, and that they're using the church, because the church is supposed to be love, to get their agendas across. There you go, from his own mouth. Isn't that something?
Do you remember the time, sorry, when the Vatican would say, oh no gays allowed, and then all of a sudden, oh, we are embracing you, come, you know, we'll marry you.
Yeah, absolutely, right.
That's all agenda from the transhumanism point.
The hard part is my close friends that are gay are the sweetest people in the world. They are the most genuine, sweetest guys in the world. And I met people through theater, doing theater, right? In fact, Harry Sova, Dr. Harry Sova, is now at Liberty University. They have a sex ring down there where Jay Falwell got caught with his pool boy, right? There you go. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there you go. So Sova's down there. And it's wild because he had said on the trip, he thought I was gay. He said, you had the beard, you're in theater. He took me in his motorhome alone to Washington, D.C., because he thought I was gay. And then he was very angry when he found out I wasn't. He was very angry when he found out I wasn't. And I paid the price. Yeah. But that's where the story is.
People are, you know, they're being bought left and right, but justice will prevail. It's like they saw you through Looking Glass, you know, and they said, oh, we got to silence him.
That's right.
With me, they thought I was going to write that book that I just wrote. And
I'm so glad you got it done. Well done. Well done. The first
I want you to get that book out because
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The first scene I wrote was the interrogation scene. The interrogation scene was the first scene I wrote, the first thing I shot. That's important because that interrogation scene comes from Pat Robertson's top people interrogating me. So that's a real life scene with Thomas A. Isn't that something? And it revolved around Anderson, the pastor named Anderson. Right. Isn't that incredible? The pieces will all come together. The naysayers have a tough job ahead of them. Of course, they don't really have to think. They just throw insults. But the thing is, like, they don't have to think it through. But the thing is, like, it's not going to hold up. It's not going to hold up. I'm looking forward to the days in court. I'm looking forward to the film being made. I'm looking forward to the documentaries being done. I'm looking forward to the book being out. I'm looking forward to, you know, even a stick figure job of the mortals. If people can get the actual tied-in story. Because everyone that has read it, you know, like these different people on the inside that read it too, they're like, this is really good. This is really good. And they assigned this lady named Terry Berliner, who was a Disney director, right? And she's from New York, Manhattan. And she did Lion King, Beauty and the Beast. She was the one that was brought to me through Tony Rankin, the Spotlight attorney, and our handler, Tony Lavoie, who became Aiden's godfather. He's actually an Italian godfather, unknowing.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't have anything to do with Aiden now. Doesn't even do with Aiden now. But since the job was done, they all left us. But you know, the case is thrown. That was it. You know, it's like everybody packed up and left shop like the game with Kirk Douglas, whatever. Anyway, so what happens is she came to me and put me under contract exclusively with her to be a writer for her while she was putting me in the New York Journal and also putting me forward as the upcoming biggest playwright when I was being groomed by Disney after the Rockefellers.
Wow.
So yeah.
It's gonna help. I don't know if you want to, sorry, say anything, but who will help you with the documentary? Like somebody we talked about on text, right? Like who you're gonna visit.
There's I probably texted you about her, but I'm gonna keep it low down right now on her because she caught Sophia Stewart was involved also with the agencies on destroying her site initially, along with Red Pill 78, Zach from Red Pill 78. Both their sites were struck, and my webpage was struck too. Sophia Stewart called me that very day and told me that yes, their sites were struck, and then tried to level in on me. First, she opened the phone call. I was at the storage area, and she started with saying, "Do you know who this is?" Like she's so important, which reminds me of somebody you already mentioned, where she acts the same way with me. Sophia Stewart and that lady you mentioned earlier have the same approach, the same makeup. They act the same way. And I recognize that. That's what I just want to point out. But it's this super ego on steroids. And that is not a good thing. That's not a good thing. That's what they look for to buy people out with. But Sophia Stewart opens with that. Do you know who this is? I said, you sound familiar. I'm going to stroke the ego. She starts in with right away, the websites have been struck. These sites have been struck. The channels are struck. I'm like, right. And your site struck. I'm like, yeah, it was done today, right? Yeah, and you can't do your film because we'll put an injunction on it. I'm like, you put an injunction on it, it means there's matchups, we win. So go ahead, put an injunction on it.
Yeah,
that'll be perfect. Do it. Then she's like, you can't do your case. They rule with prejudice. I said, no, it's fraud. They're pointing out to me that the attorneys are very scared about going to jail. They made that clear. So I would say there's something they're very concerned about. And with the PTSD and everything, we can go forward. She didn't know what to say to that. Then she said something else. There was 3 things she was going for that they wanted her to say. So she's doing a job, which Kate Chilton from Warner Brothers, who's at Netflix litigation control and then became Superior Court judge from Warner Brothers. She's the one that was at my deposition. She's the one that has a letter to Sophia Stewart saying about 5 to 7 million if she handled me. And so she had her orders from Kate Chilton to make that call. So it was, can't make the film, pushing that. She said, no one's going to come and see it. I'm like, love it or hate it, people are coming to see it and see if it matches up. They'll come. She didn't like that answer either. And you can't do your court case. Shot that right back. And there was one of the things she was trying to throw. There's one of the things they were trying to throw. 3 things they're trying to shoot down. What they did was they showed me what they're most afraid of, which is perfect. Mm-hmm. And when I responded the way I did, she was quiet. It's the first time in history I heard her without doing a retort, not able to speak back, because she has a foul mouth and quite an ego. The company on me. So it was the first time. So I said, I was able to say, okay, well, if that's everything, I'll let you go. Hung up. So that was amazing. I have not heard from her since.
When was this again?
It wasn't that long ago. We were in the storage area. No, did I hear from her? I did hear from her after that. She called to mock about the death of my sons. Said that my sons are dead because of me, because I was in a cult, she said, Pat Robertson's cult. And you know what's interesting is she sent that message to Carrie Cassidy. She sent that message to Carrie Cassidy that I have because of what's his name? Nico. Nico was Sophia Stewart's number 2. Sent me these messages she sent to now Carrie never showed them to me, but Carrie Cassidy got these messages that said, Tom's part of a cult. That's why his son's died. He's a real loser. You shouldn't have him on your show. All that stuff. So Carrie's talked bad about me ever since. It's really she got it backwards. And even contacting people I know saying you shouldn't, Tom doesn't know what he's talking about. He's got it all wrong. A lot of people were involved in writing The Matrix. No, bullshit. Not true. So the thing is that actually, Sophia Stewart was quiet, but she did call me later, mocking me. And she likes to have an entourage with her. She likes to have people with her while she does it. So it'll be a conference call when she hits you. And she likes to, try to get you to get agitated. So that's part of her job. She's working for 5 to 7 million, so she's going to do her job. So,
jeez.
And one of her jobs too is to say the blue pill's the good, or the blue pill's the bad pill, the red pill's the good pill. So Warner Brothers has her saying that. I would say it'd be pretty loud to be her. Yeah.
I remember you were saying that the blue pill was good and that the red pill
Yeah,
was bad,
the original
and
work. Yeah.
they got, but they're saying that. I remember when we first started, like almost what 2.5 years ago. I
They
remember.
switched it up. They
I'm
switched
so
it up.
glad
So
that.
we all say that we're all supposed to say we're red pilled, which means we're taking the blood of the children. In the screenplay of the Immortals, the red pill and the story treatment and everything, the red pill is based on the blood of the children, the growth hormones to make an immortal program that you can enter in if you're accepted by the architect and the top 100. So yeah, yeah, red pill not good. Red pill is the only pill offered to Neo in the beginning of the film, and then later when he's cut from the program, the blue pill is offered. Now here's something interesting. They're talking about in that clip I sent you about, the hand goes up and you can put your hand up and do transactions, which are like
Yes, I
the
am.
Bible about that. That's in the
Mhm.
Immortal. And that's how Neo finds out that he's cut from the program when he goes to do a transaction with his palm on the panel. And it says that he doesn't have an account anymore. So it's
I
interesting.
remember
It's
that
actually from the
scene.
Bible. Yeah, so that's actually tied from the Bible, which was channeled through and used in the Immortals, and then ties to the Bible, which I didn't even know. So it is about revelations in the end. Yes, I think anybody can
Yeah.
figure it out that in Matrix 3, it is about revelations in the end. And they even call it revolutions. But when I pitched it, I explained all
Revolution.
about that. So
Mhm.
revolution. Now
Mhm.
Bonaventura said it's revolutionary. So yeah. Anyway, I can hear people. It's almost like I can just imagine people, the good ones is dividing people, I'm told, 50-50, where people go, I get it what Tom's talking about. I follow him. He's really smart. Veronica's really smart. I get this. Then you got the other percents going, he's just rambling. He doesn't make any sense. I'm like, if you're not following, maybe you're not meant to follow. You're not smart enough. If you're smart enough to follow, we're grateful for
Mhm.
it. Great. Thank you. We're grateful you have brains. So it's just like, because this was a lot of work to render it. And it was a gift. It was meant to be a gift. And what they did with my daughter was really hard because with my
Yeah.
daughter, who was a little girl in the Matrix, I was writing to reunite my family after Robertson's group had them taken away from me, right? Like they're trying to do with Aiden. Who's, thank God he's 18 now. But in the um, original time, they had taken the no, I just lost my train of thought because I'm thinking of my sons. When I think of my dead sons, murdered sons, it's hard for me to keep a train of thought. So I lost my train of thought because I went to the emotional side. Anyway.
I get you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
You were saying about your daughter, how they're trying to use
Oh,
her.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to say that my
Mhm.
daughter was supposed to contact me. One time she contacted me. She contacted me and said, you wrote the story. She was programmed by Robertson's group. You wrote the story for yourself. It was all for you. But why am I writing about a daughter, being reunited with her daddy and everything? Even if that was a selfish thing, it's about reuniting together. I don't think that's all about me. That's lifting her. And so that's why the Wachowski said the little girl's just a subplot. They don't want any sympathy or understanding about the actual daughter being reunited with the author, the dad. Can you imagine that? And is there any greater thing you can do than write something like that, a blockbuster, for your daughter's sake? When your daughter, as
Yeah.
a young girl, said, Daddy, never give up, keep trying, even if the judges say no, you keep trying and have me with you. I honored that from that little girl when she said that, and she was reprogrammed. So I didn't do anything wrong. I actually went overboard to try to do it right. And that's why they also mocked me in Oblivion. Why they put in Oblivion the lookalike, like my daughter, looks just like my daughter, pointing just as the final pages are. Joel Silver has in Oblivion, where the main characters are Jack and Julie, my two siblings that are so vicious to me, Jack and Julie. And they have, instead of Becca, the one that's actually Tom Cruise's love interest, is Vika. So they changed Becca to Vika. So Julie, Jack, Vika. And they have a little girl that points at the end to the identical figure that's appeared to her. That's my ending. So Joel Silver got it right by using Disney holding it for him at the end. It's amazing. Joel Silver got to do his take on the work after the case was thrown, apart from the Wachowskis. So he finally got to do it the way he wanted to do it. And he didn't do robots in the program. He did robot-like agents and identical figures facing off in the exact same ending. And the stadium got in there too. They wanted to do the stadium. So isn't that amazing? It's all there. I can't wait for a day in court where we can lay this all out for the jury. And there will be no summary judgment, Warner Brothers and Disney, because it's all going to be laid out in the file, all the triable issues. So you can't get away with it, what you did with the attorney supplied, your classmate, defense attorney, who edited out all the triable issues. So the triable issues will be listed all in. Matrix 1's never been claimed. Alter Carbon never claimed. We're going to put that in. That's where the interrogation scene, that's where the matchups is, that's what everything is. Keep in mind, they said 2 and 3, any matchups in 1 can't apply to 2 and 3. That's how they throw it. And it was Sophia Stewart working with the attorney from Warner Brothers to say, don't claim Matrix 1. You're the missing link. You're 2 and 3. I'm Matrix 1. And boy, did she scream and yell and curse when we found out the inserts were there. When the guy contacted me from Warner Brothers and told me that the inserts were there, she lost it. Apparently, he wasn't supposed to do that. Yeah, because that showed that Matrix 1 is ours. Now, people will say, including that one lady, that, you know, behind my back to friends, that there's plenty of people that worked, plenty of people had the idea for Matrix. Many, many authors. No, there's only one author that holds the copyright. There's only one author that holds the gold sealed copyright. There's only one author that has full 128 pages copyrighted. There's only one. There is no others, including the Wachowskis. There's none. Including Sophia Stewart. There's none. She's a manuscript, 33 pages. That's what I want to point out to all those people that try that twisted argument that these people are now saying, including Carrie. It doesn't hold up. So yeah. It's time for hardball. Yeah, it's time for hardball. Hardball now. We're going to push this home strong, and I look forward to sharing with you what comes out of it. Because what I want to do is form those studios. I want to form the studios and have people get to do their work in the right way. And I want to vet it. I want to make sure their work is good and that it has a heart behind it and it's meant as a service to the world. Then I'll work with you. I'll help you. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be great. Well,
yeah.
Thank you, Tom, for being on. And
sure.
We're going to be on next week, and I'll go ahead and post your website. And I'm very grateful
Thank you.
For you.
Well, you're so patient. I'll tell you, you're so patient because I went this time. I just talked this time and laid it out. And thank you for letting me lay it out because this is all part of the research project too that's going on. And you let me speak this. Thank you for doing that. You're very gracious.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And you're going to speak again next week because the more you speak, the more people hear your story. And there's other parts like last week. Hey, I hadn't heard you talk about the first wife and your daughter and your kids, you know. So things will come up, and I love it because there's more revelation, and you'll get more concise, and the people will support you. And I'm just grateful for this day, and thank you, Tom. Can't wait to meet you.
Well, I want to say I appreciate you so much. I know I appreciate you so much. I just want to say to Caitlin Farrell when she actually does see this, it's a terrible thing you did. It's going to be revealed, and hopefully you won't hurt any other people that trust you. Because I said I needed somebody I could trust, and she said you can trust me. Well, that's all going to be revealed. Also, I'm looking forward to having kids saved, and it's what we're doing. That's where the work is written. The train stations about child trafficking. We're going to do it. So thank you, Veronica, for this opportunity.
Yes.
All right.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tom, for being on. Have a great day, guys. Thanks for being on Codebreaker Real Talk. Talk to you next week. Bye.
I never know what's going to be said, but that's what I got. That's what I was given. And I've never talked about the daughter and that before. So that means something. But I know that it's going to be powerful things are going to happen. And the other side's falling apart. They're falling apart. And I'm going to call the kettle black when the kettle's black and lay it out. Because I don't like my friends being contacted like that. You know, it's like, I don't like that at all. Right behind my back and sending video.